how to create your own TeamSpeak 6 TS6 server on an Ubuntu Linux cloud server or virtual private server, VPS. In this video, I'll take you step by step through the complete process of setting up your TeamSpeak 6 server. We'll first start off by creating a cloud server. The cloud server host of choice for this video demo is going to be Kamatera. I'll also show you how to install the TeamSpeak 6 client. We will use the client to connect to our TeamSpeak 6 server once we have installed the TeamSpeak 6 software and got it running. To connect to our Kamatera server, we'll need an SSH client. That client for this video demo is going to be PuTTY. If PuTTY isn't compatible with your OS, there are alternative SSH clients available for you to install. Once we have logged into our Kamatera server using PuTTY, we'll then need to install TeamSpeak 6 on it. To do this, we'll use the GitHub repository called TeamSpeak 6-server by TeamSpeak. Now, at the time of recording of this video, TeamSpeak 6 server is currently in beta. However, you can install the beta version. In future, the latest release will most likely be an official release. Now, we will be entering various commands into the PuTTY terminal window. If I continue to scroll down all the way to where it says on Linux, these are the commands which we'll use to install the TeamSpeak server files onto our Kamatera server, as our Kamatera server will be running Ubuntu Linux. Now, there will be some commands before these displayed commands that I'll walk you through, and of course there'll be commands after that I'll also walk you through. Once we've installed the TeamSpeak 6 server software files onto our Kamatera server, we will then edit our TeamSpeak service systemd file and include the following text in it. This information will tell your TeamSpeak 6 server to run indefinitely or 24/7 when you close the SSH terminal window. Once our TeamSpeak 6 server is running 24/7 on our server, we will then connect to it using the TeamSpeak 6 client that we installed, and will claim ownership to our TeamSpeak 6 server using the token displayed in the terminal window. Of course, I'll be running you through how to do that. Finally, I'll show you how to edit your TeamSpeak 6 server for customization purposes and how to create channels. Okay, so let's begin. First, open up your browser and navigate to the following URL address. This URL address is my referral link to Kamatera. It will give you $100 in free cloud credits to try out Kamatera's cloud services for 30 days completely for free. I'll put my referral link in the video description below so that you can click on it for your convenience. Once you're on this page, click on Get Started. To claim your 30-day free trial, you'll need to create a Kamatera free account by entering in your email address and picking a password and then clicking on Create Free Account. Now, I already have a Kamatera account, so I'm going to click on Login. Once you have created your Kamatera account and have run through the account setup process, you'll then be taken to your dashboard once you have logged in. In here, on the left-hand side, look to where it says My Cloud. Click on it and then click on Create New Server. We will now need to run through the creation process. We'll start off by picking a zone for our server. This zone is the country location for our TeamSpeak 6 server. It is best to choose a server that is closest to your current location or a medium location for you, your friends, and your family members that you're going to be communicating with on TeamSpeak 6. This will give you the best audio quality and the lowest ping. Kamatera has servers in Asia, Australia, North America, Europe, and the Middle East. For this video demonstration, I'm going to be going with Europe, so I'm going to click on the Europe tab, and I'm going to go with Germany, Frankfurt, and I'm going to click on that. Once you've selected your zone, scroll down until you see where it says Choose an Image. Click on the tab Server OS Images if it already isn't pre-selected. Scroll down a bit more. Click on Ubuntu to select the Ubuntu Linux OS. On the right hand side, look for where it says Choose Version and click on the drop down menu. Select the latest version of Ubuntu. At the time of recording of this video, it's 24.04 64-bit. And as you can see, the 24.04 version is the LTS version, also known as Noble. Scroll down until you see where it says Choose Server Specs. For the server type, you have B for General, D for Dedicated, T for Burstable, and A for Availability. The cheapest types that I have found is A for Availability and T for Burstable. I'm going to be going with A for availability for this video demo. For TeamSpeak, you can run it on a single CPU core, 1GB of RAM, and 10GB of SSD disk space. Now, if you're running a large TS6 server, you may want to increase the server specs now or later down the road. However, these specs should be sufficient enough to support a decent amount of clients. Scroll down until you see where it says Finalize settings. Pick a root password for your Kamatera server. So I'm just going to enter that in now. This will be the password used to connect via SSH. You'll then need to confirm or validate that password you have picked. Pick a name for your Kamatera server. So I'm going to call it TS6-server. Scroll down again, this time to the very bottom. You should then see billing cycle and pricing. By default, monthly billing cycle has been selected, and as you can see at the time of recording of this video, that's $4 a month for the server specs I have chosen. However, Kamatera allows you to bill hourly, and as you can see, hourly is approximately $3.65 a month, which is cheaper than the monthly billing cycle. So I'm going to roll with the hourly billing cycle. Once you're happy with your server specifications, click on Create Server. The creation of our server has now been added as a task. If we click on Tasks in Queue at at the bottom left hand corner, you can see that TS6-server currently has a status of 19%. So while our Kamatera server is being created, let's install the TeamSpeak 6 client. So I'm going to click on my other tab here at the top of my browser, and you're going to open up a new tab and navigate to teamspeak6.com. Once you're here, at the very top, click on Downloads. Then click on TS6 Client. The TeamSpeak 6 client is a cross-platform application. It is available on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. In future, it will probably support mobile devices also. Now I'm on Windows, so I'm just going to scroll back up to the very top here, and for Windows, currently the client available is the 64-bit version. This is the latest version, so I'm going to click on Download. The TeamSpeak 6 client will then begin downloading. It's a relatively small file, so once it is downloaded, navigate to the top right-hand corner of your browser, if you're on Google Chrome like myself, and click on the Downloads icon. Then click on teamspeak-client.msi to open up the TS6 installer. Go through the setup wizard by clicking on Next, read through the end user license agreement, and if you agree, click on the checkbox to accept the terms in the license agreement and click on Next. I'm going to leave Install Just For You selected, and then I'm going to click on Next, and then I'm going to checkmark the box to create a shortcut for TeamSpeak on the desktop, and I'm going to click on Install. And there we go, TeamSpeak or the TeamSpeak 6 client has been installed. I'm going to click on Finish to launch the TeamSpeak client. If you look at the very top, it says Login, and it requires an email and a password. If you don't already have a TeamSpeak 6 account, you'll need to create one by clicking on Create an Account. Pick a username, so of course I'm going to call myself Websplaining, enter in your email address, and then enter a password for your TeamSpeak TS6 account, and then confirm that password. Once you've done that, click on Create Account. An email will then be sent to your inbox of the email address you entered. So I'm just going to click on the link that's sent to my email inbox to confirm the creation of my account. So I'll be back with you once I've done that. Okay, so I've just done that. My account has been created. I'm going to click on Continue. You should then see Account Recovery Key. Mouse over to reveal the Account Recovery Key. So I'm just going to highlight this, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to click on Copy to copy it. Save this Account Recovery Key in a secure place. So I'm just going to open up my notepad here. I'm going to click on the plus symbol to open up a new blank notepad. I'm going to right click and click on Paste to paste in the Account Recovery Key. I'm just going to label that as the Account Recovery Key so I know what it is. Account Recovery Key TS6. I'm going to click on File, I'm going to click on Save, and I'm going to click Desktop and click Save to save it. Go back to the TeamSpeak 6 client, checkmark this black text box here to confirm that you've saved your recovery key and click on Continue. You'll then be taken to the main TeamSpeak or TeamSpeak 6 dashboard. In this search box here is where we'll connect to our TeamSpeak 6 server once we have set it up. Great, so now we need to go back to our browser. So this was just the link that I clicked in my email inbox to confirm the creation of my account. Once you're back in your browser, open up another tab and navigate to the following URL address. Again, this link will be in the video description below so that you can click on it for your convenience. Once you're here, you'll be on the download PuTTY page. This is the SSH client we're going to be using for this video demo. If PuTTY isn't available on your operating system, you'll need to download an alternative SSH client. I'm on Windows, so the Windows installer version that I need for PuTTY is the 64-bit x86. So all you need to do is click on this to begin the process. Now I have already installed PuTTY on my desktop, and therefore I'm not going to be going through the process of installing it in this video demo. However, if you'd like a step-by-step process of installing PuTTY, I'll put a link to one of my videos which will show you step-by-step on how to install it. I'll also put it as a card at the top right-hand corner of this video. Great, so now that you've got PuTTY, got your TeamSpeak 6 client, we can now check on our Kamatera cloud server and check to see if it has created our server. And as you can see, TS6 server has been completed and the status is a success. And if we look at the top here, you can see TeamSpeak 6-server located in EU Frankfurt. The IP address is 185.237.14.28. This will be unique to your server. It's currently up and running. To log into our server, we'll need the IP address, also known as the IPv4 address. I'm going to left click to highlight it, and then it's took me here. Once I highlighted it, I'll just need to go back on my browser. I'm going to right click on my server's IP address and click on copy to copy it. I'm going to minimize my browser, minimize the TeamSpeak 6 client, minimize my text document to be taken to my desktop. Locate your SSH client. In my case, it's PuTTY, which as you can see is a shortcut on my desktop. If you have also installed PuTTY on your desktop and don't see the shortcut, you can search for it in your search box on Windows and then click on it to open it. I'm going to double click on PuTTY to open it. I'm going to right click in the hostname or IP address section and click on paste. Then I'm going to click on open. You'll then be greeted with a PuTTY security alert, which notifies you that the host key is not cached in your registry. You have no guarantee that the server is the computer you think it is. Now, of course, we know this is our Kamatera server. So we want to carry on connecting by adding the key to our cache. So you have the option to accept, connect once, or cancel. I'm going to click on accept. I'm going to maximize my PuTTY terminal window. At the top, you can see it says login as root. So type root, hit enter on your keyboard, and then enter your Kamatera server's root password that you entered when you're setting up your Kamatera server. So I'm just going to enter that in now, and then I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. And there we go. We have now connected to our Kamatera VPS using our SSH client. We can now begin the process of installing the TeamSpeak 6 server software. Open back up your browser, open up another tab, and navigate to the following URL address: github.com/teamspeak/teamspeak6-server. Once you're here, scroll down until you see releases on the right hand side. The latest release should be highlighted with a green label. If you don't see the latest release, you can just click on releases, and then at the very top will be the latest release, which at the time of recording of this video is version 6, beta 6. Scroll down until you see assets for that release. Now we want the TeamSpeak 6 server software files for Linux, which as you can see is the asset at the very top here. In future, this could be called something else. If it is, just make sure you're looking at the Linux version. So once you've found the Linux version, right click on it and click on copy link address. Open back up your PuTTY terminal and type the following command: wget space and then right click to paste. That will paste in the link we just copied from GitHub. Once you've done that, simply hit enter on your keyboard. This will download the TeamSpeak 6 server files. You can see that the file has got an extension of .tar.bz2. We'll need to unzip this file using a data compressor, which can also be an uncompressing tool. This file here is actually a compressed file. To uncompress it, we'll need to install bzip2. Type the following command: apt space install space bzip2 space -y. Once you've typed this in, hit enter on your keyboard. bzip2 will then be installed on your server. The next command we're going to type is the ls command. Type ls. This command will allow us to see all the files currently in the directory that we're in, so hit enter on your keyboard. As you can see, the TeamSpeak server Linux files are indeed in this directory. So we're going to highlight the name of this file by left clicking on the word TeamSpeak all the way to where it says bz2. PuTTY allows you to highlight to copy text, so this text is now already copied. We'll now need to uncompress it, so we'll need the uncompress command for bzip2. Type tar space -xjf space and then right click to paste the name of your TeamSpeak server files. Once you've done that, hit enter on your keyboard. This will then uncompress the .bz2. To check if it has been uncompressed, type ls again to list the files in the directory and hit enter. And as you can see, in blue for me, we have TeamSpeak-server_Linux_AMD64, which is our uncompressed TeamSpeak 6 server files. We can then navigate into this directory or folder by highlighting TeamSpeak all the way to where it says AMD64. It's now already copied, so this is the uncompressed folder name. To go into that directory or that folder, type cd, which stands for change directory, space, and then right click to paste the folder name you have just copied to your clipboard and then hit enter on your keyboard. Type ls again and hit enter. And as you can see, we have the TeamSpeak 6 server files in here. As you can see, TS server is in this directory, and this is important as we'll need to make this binary executable. To do this, open back up your browser and go back a page on the TeamSpeak 6-server GitHub repository to the main page. Once you're here, scroll down all the way until you see where it says on Linux. To make the server binary executable, you'll need to copy the chmod command by clicking on the copy button here on the right hand side. So this command has now been copied to our clipboard. All these commands that I'm demonstrating in this video will be in the video description below, so you can just copy and paste them into your terminal window for your convenience. Open back up your PuTTY terminal window, right click to paste and hit enter on your keyboard. Go back to your browser and now we'll need to run the server from our terminal, making sure to accept the license. This is simply the command below. So I'm going to click on the copy button here to copy the command that starts with /tsserver space accept license. Open back up your PuTTY terminal window, right click to paste, hit enter on your keyboard, and TeamSpeak 6 will then immediately start. If you look at the top here, we've got something important and we've got another thing that says important at the bottom. Let's copy both these important things before proceeding. So left click to highlight everything in here. This is the server query admin account information. Open up your text document once again, and I'm just going to go to a new line here. I'm going to right click and click on paste. Do the same for the other piece of important information. So I'm just going to highlight everything in here. This time, this is the server admin privileges key. This is the key or token, which is what we use to claim ownership of our TeamSpeak 6 server later in our TeamSpeak 6 server client once we connect to our server. Open back up your text document, right click and click on paste. And again, click file and click save. Server query admin account is for more advanced users. For basic setup, we'll need the token, which is to claim server ownership, which I'll show you later. Open back up your PuTTY terminal window. Now, our TeamSpeak 6 server is running. However, we'll we'll need to stop it, as we'll need to make it a 24/7 server, because currently as soon as we close out of our PuTTY terminal window, our TeamSpeak server will stop. So to make it 24/7, what we'll first need to do is press Ctrl+C on our keyboard. This will immediately stop our TeamSpeak 6 server. Now we'll need to edit the TeamSpeak.service systemd file. To do this, we'll use a terminal-based text editor called Nano. Type the following command: nano space /etc/systemd/system/teamspeak.service. Once you've entered this in, hit enter on your keyboard. Now what we'll need to do is paste in text that I've prepared for you in the TeamSpeak service systemd file. So I'm going to open up my text editor here. I'm going to go to the first tab in my text editor, and you're simply going to copy everything from unit all the way to install. Now this text will be in the video description below, so you can simply copy it and paste it into the TeamSpeak.service file. It's important to note that the working directory after the /root, the name here is the same name as the uncompressed folder for your TeamSpeak server files. So if the folder name is different, you'll need to change it to that name in here. So for me, it's TeamSpeak-server_Linux_AMD64. So I'm just going to right click on this and I'm going to click on copy. I'm going to go back to my PuTTY terminal window. I'm going to right click to paste. Now what we'll need to do is save the changes we have just made to this folder by pressing Ctrl+O on our keyboard, hitting enter to confirm those changes. Now we'll need to exit out of Nano by pressing Ctrl+X on our keyboard. We're now back on our PuTTY terminal window command line area. Now what we'll need to do is apply the changes we have just made to the TeamSpeak.service file. So we'll need to reload daemon. To do this, type systemctl space daemon -reload. Once you type this in, hit enter on your keyboard. This will then apply the changes and restart daemon. Next, we'll need to start the TeamSpeak service, so type systemctl space start space TeamSpeak. Hit enter on your keyboard. This will then start TeamSpeak back up after we stopped it. To check if TeamSpeak is up and running, type systemctl space status space TeamSpeak and hit enter on your keyboard. And as you can see, TeamSpeak is active and running. Press the letter Q on your keyboard to go back to the command line. The final command that we're going to be typing in here is the command to enable auto start on boot. When, for example, when we restart our Kamatera server, our TeamSpeak server will automatically start on boot. So the command you need to achieve this is the following command: type systemctl space enable space TeamSpeak. Once you type this in, hit enter on your keyboard. And now let's check if we have enabled start on boot by typing systemctl space status space TeamSpeak and hit enter on your keyboard. And as you can see, it now says enabled, whereas before it said disabled. Press Q on your keyboard once again to go back to your terminal command line. And that's the final command we'll be entering into our SSH terminal window. So now we can in fact close out of the PuTTY terminal window by clicking on the X and then clicking on OK. Open back up your TeamSpeak client, and at the top left hand corner here, we'll need to connect to our server by entering in the IP address. Open back up your browser, navigate to your Kamatera server management tab, right click on the IP address of your Kamatera server and click on copy. So I'm copying the IP address of 185.237.14.28. Again, this VPS IP will be unique to your server. Open back up your TeamSpeak client, right click in the search/connect text box and click on paste. Once you've done that, hit enter on your keyboard to immediately connect. Now, because I'm recording this video, I'm just going to click on the microphone icon to disable my microphone on TeamSpeak to stop the echo. Great, so we have now connected as web-splaining on our server called TeamSpeak 6 server. We don't have any server admin privileges. So at the very top here, you can see it says, is this your TeamSpeak server? Click on yes. What we'll need to do now is paste in our privilege key, also known as the token that we saved earlier, which is one of the important things we had to save from our SSH terminal. So the ownership for this server has not been claimed yet. Use a privilege key to become the administrator. Open back up your text editor and look for the server admin privilege key. It starts from token equals. So copy everything after the equals symbol, which is B, all the way to small b. So I've just highlighted it all. I'm going to right click and click on copy. Once you've done that, open back up the TeamSpeak client, right click on paste, and click on the arrow to claim server admin. And now if I click on my name, you can see I have the server group server admin. As the server admin, we can change the name of our server. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to click on the default TS server name, which is TeamSpeak 6 server. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to click on edit server settings. For the name, I'm going to delete the pre-typed information in here. I'm going to call it web-splainings TS6 server. I'm not going to have a password on my server. I'm just going to click on Save Options. And there we go. Server properties have now successfully been updated with our new TS6 server name. As you saw, there are many different options that we could have done right there. However, I'm just going to keep the customization brief, as this is just a video demo. To create a channel in your TS6 server, at the very bottom, click on Create Channel. Give your channel a name, so I'm going to call it Tech Help. And you have the option to create it at the top or the bottom. I'm going to click on bottom, and there we go. Tech Help channel has now been created. To go into that channel, double click on it and you'll immediately switch into that channel. And now if I click on my username, you can see that I have another group, and that is channel admin for the channel group called Tech Help. Of course, TeamSpeak 6 allows for so much customization. However, for this video demo, we're going to keep it short, as the main purpose of this video was showing you how to create a TS6 server from scratch. And on that note, that concludes the video on how to create your own TeamSpeak 6 TS6 server on an Ubuntu Linux cloud server or virtual private server, VPS. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, comment down below, and most importantly of all, subscribe to support the channel. I'll see you on the next video.